Hello from a rather glorious Thursday the 22nd. I'm FX Plume and this is the market brief. So most indicators are showing the UK is recovering from the pandemic and remains on course to lift the remaining restrictions over the next couple of months. The science brains are still concerned about the different variants emerging in other countries, but the infection rate continues to fall and domestically at least things look relatively on course. But away from the health issues, inflation is fast becoming the next biggest COVID-related worry for the global economy. The effects of all that monetary and fiscal support, when added to the supply side issues from all the pent-up demand, are beginning to cause concerns. In the UK, inflation rose from 0.4% in February to 0.7% in March, and that is a significant rise, but it won't be a worry just yet because it is still from a very low base. Something to keep an eye on in the coming months for sure, though. Sterling remains pretty well supported, although we've had a couple of down days since the rally over the 140 level on Monday. Yesterday we fell to about 139 against the dollar, but we opened this morning around 139.35. The US Treasury reviews the global economy every 6 months or so to see which countries are manipulating their currency. Historically, this has carried the threat of action against those countries with tariffs imposed to level the playing field. You may remember this was the catalyst for all those tit-for-tat trade issues between the US and China back when Trump was in charge. The irony is that the latest report, if the tests were applied to the US, they would fail. Persistent one-sided intervention to weaken the currency and an external deficit of more than 2% of GDP would be their shortcomings. Of course, the US would point to the COVID recovery in their defence, suggesting it's an outlier, but the jury is still out as to whether or not they are using continued stimulus and an accommodative monetary policy to drive the dollar down to artificially low levels. And as the US recovery looks likely to be the fastest and the strongest, questions are beginning to be asked about whether the US actions are to the detriment of other nations. The dollar index continues to test the downside. We saw a low of around 91 yesterday, while euro dollar saw good support around the 120 level. We opened this morning around 120.40. Right, well that's it from me. I hope you get out in the sun. It is glorious out this morning. Do join me again tomorrow.
If you do not have a clue, then just tweet through and ask FX Blue.